Good morning, welcome. Today is 24th August 2021. My name is Chaitanya Dave. I am a political, social and environmental activist. I have authored 3 books. My first book was Crimes Against Humanity, a shocking history of US crimes since 1776. This book is about what United States has done around the world, how it has captured other countries, destroyed many democracy, other countries, etc. So this is a history of that. My second book is on environment, collapse, civilization on the brink. How different civilizations, they destroy their environment and ultimately collapse. So we can learn from their examples because we are facing the greatest catastrophe today of the climate change. My third book is on capitalism. It is called Capitalism's March of Destruction, replacing it with people and nature-friendly economy. And that is subject of my talk. My talk today is titled Capitalism's March of Destruction and its replacement with a sensible people's economy. Capitalism has been here in the world since more than 400 years. It originated basically in northwestern Europe, UK and Netherlands in late 16th and early 17th century. In 1602, the first corporation was founded in Netherlands called Dutch East India Company. Soon after, another corporation was founded by UK called British East India Company. And you know what that corporation did around the world and especially in India. They came to India, ruled India by trickery and exploited India's resources and labor, and to the tune of they stole basically, or they looted India to the tune of $45 trillion before they were finally kicked out. So that is the second corporation founded, and so that is how and then what happened, that originally there was slavery around the world in many countries, not all. And then after slavery came feudalism. And after feudalism, what happened in UK and the surrounding areas, that thousands of workers lost their land because the landlords, the feudal lords, took away the land, so they had no means of making a living, and these very rich feudal lords started hiring them to weave cloth. Cloth was the biggest industry at that time in 17th century England and Netherlands also. And so they started hiring them, and that is how capitalism started. The capitalists put the money and then they started hiring workers. And then soon it spread to rest of Europe, Germany, France, and other European countries. And finally, in America, when America was founded in 1776, basically it was founded by 55 founding fathers, so-called founding fathers. They were the landed aristocrats. They were very rich. They owned thousands of acres of land. They owned hundreds of slaves. And they founded America based on capitalism. And at that time, when they founded, only propertied white men had rights to vote in their democracy. Women, white men without any property had no right to vote, and blacks were out of question. They were not even counted by them as full human. And then now capitalism has gone global. It has spread around the world in many countries, in many democracies as well as dictatorships. Japan, Brazil, etc. So that is the origin of capitalism. And now capitalism is basically imposed on around the world, and it has gone global. Now I'm going to discuss major flaws of capitalism. By the way, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am living in California, America for last. I am in America for last 55 years. I have done well. I have prospered under this capitalism, but I am convinced that capitalism is a bad system. It is a very exploitative system. It is a very unequal system, unfair system. It is not friendly to the majority of the people, and it is a highly destructive of the planet Earth. It must go and should be replaced with a sensible economic system. So let me tell you about the major flaws of capitalism. Now, number one problem of capitalism is that it is the biggest driver of climate change. It is on a collision course with planet Earth. It is unfriendly to the people, majority of the people. It is very unequitable, very exploitative, and it is unsustainable. It is basically based on fossil fuel, which is the biggest carbon emitter in the world. Still, the governments around the world are giving $10 million per minute subsidies to these oil companies. Or $5.3 trillion per year subsidy is given by USA, Russia, India, Japan, China. China is the biggest. They still give money to the oil company. And they are the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas. 3,000 corporations cause $2.2 trillion a year environmental damage. $2.2 trillion a year environmental damage. And then they go away from it. They don't take care of it. They also damage $2 trillion per year the ocean of the world. What happens that so many huge multinational corporations, majority of them are American, there are some British, some German, even some Chinese, there are Canadian companies, mining companies in Peru. They go around the world to the poor country, exploit their resources, extract the resources from there, exploit their labor in countries like Bangladesh and Indonesia and all this. And then they do this for profit. They take away the profit. Especially they go in Africa like Congo, Nigeria. And in the process, they heavily pollute the air, the water, the environment, the soil, and then they go away. And the people of these countries, such as Congo, Nigeria, Indonesia, Bangladesh, they remain as poor as before, while these companies extract billions of dollars worth profit. So they destroy the environment in the process, all for profit. Rainforests are destroyed, especially in South America, because that is where they are the maximum. 72 acres of rainforest every minute is destroyed. 38 million acres per year is wiped out, especially in Brazil and surrounding countries. 3,300 acres of land of desert become desert every year. Total rainforest the size of Florida in America is cut every year. And they cut Amazon forest. All they do that, so they put ranch in those areas, cutting the forest. And why did they put the ranches in Brazil, etc.? To raise cows for beef industry. Their biggest customer is United States. And so that is what they do in Brazil and surrounding countries. And America imports huge quantity of beef from these countries, from Brazil, etc. And the average Brazilian or South American person doesn't have much money to eat that beef. So average South American citizen eats less beef than a household cat in America. Think about that. So that is what they do. Now going back, so now Indonesia, for example, Indonesia, they cut peat and forest to plant palm trees for palm oil. Palm oil is used by European countries and United States in manufacturing lipstick, ice cream, shampoo, etc. Huge quantity of palm oil is used by this country. Indonesia in 2015 cut all these forests and emitted 884 million tons of carbon dioxide by burning these forests. In other words, 11.3 million tons per day. They cut forests to grow palm oil. So that's another huge carbon dioxide emitter. Now let's go further. 66 million trees have died since 1970 in Northern California, in Sierra Nevada since 2010. Several million acres of Alaska forests are devastated by beetle and fungi. And glaciers are melting around the world, crops are being lost, 50% of barrier reef is bleached in Australia. This is all because of climate change, and the biggest emitter, biggest driver of climate change is capitalism, the capitalist system. Another major problem with the capitalist system is that it has been there for more than 400 years, still poverty is rampant around the world, including in America. So we need a system where poverty is eliminated or drastically reduced. Capitalism is not the system. Let me talk about poverty a little bit. In America, 17 million people in 2018 lived in deep poverty. 93.6 million people lived close to poverty. 14 million people do not have enough food to eat as of 2018 report. Close to 12 million children lived in poverty, and 2.5 million children have experienced homelessness once in a year, at least. 1 in 7 children do not have enough food to eat. As of 2021, poverty rate in America is 11.8%, or 40 million people are in poverty. This is the richest country in the world, by the way. As of October 2020, over 20% of national income flowed to the rich people, the 1%. I am now talking about inequality. So poverty is rampant. But let me even talk about poverty a little bit around the global poverty. Globally, 9.2% of world population, or 689 people, live in extreme poverty, below $2 a day, as per World Bank report. As of 2020, as per UN Development Program, 1.3 billion people in 107 countries are multidimensionally poor. So, globally, poverty is rampant. What is capitalism doing for these people? Now, let me talk about inequality. capitalism is the biggest creator of inequality. 20% of national income flows into to 1%. Today, 1% of Americans own 40% of nation's wealth. 0.1%, a few dozen billionaires own as much wealth as bottom 90%. Few dozen American billionaires own as much wealth as bottom 90% of Americans. Think about it. This is the richest country in the world. Top 1% of US households have 15 times more wealth than bottom 50% combined. And let me give you an example of the richest man. There are 723 billionaires in America, the maximum in the world. Every year, several billionaires are added while millions of Americans live in poverty. America's richest man, Jeff Bezos of Amazon company, he is worth $201 billion. He makes 3,000, now look at the inequality. He makes $3,715 per second. That is more than double the average worker makes in 1 week. In 1 minute, Jeff Bezos makes $47,000 more than median worker, average worker in Amazon or around the country makes in 1 year. Jeff Bezos makes in 1 year, 1 minute. Average American man with a BS degree, education, graduate education, he will make $2.2 million in his lifetime. Bezos makes that under 15 minutes. What kind of system is it that enables such massive inequalities? One man makes billions while millions of people they live in poverty. The system is very, very unfair. So let's proceed further. By the way, last year Bezos added $65 billion to his wealth. Elon Musk, the second richest man in America, he added $100 billion. In other words, this is a winner-take-all system. It's like a wild economic west. Average CEO, the chief executive of a company in America, he makes 340 times more money than average worker in America. And there are many companies where the CEO makes 1,000 times more than average worker. Think about that. So that is the extent of inequality in this country. Now going back further, and what they are doing is they are making everything automatic. So millions of workers will lose their jobs. Automation, robots will create massive job loss. Whole WTO was started so that corporations can extract money from other countries, while millions of Americans lost their job because corporations went to other countries, Indonesia, Bangladesh, China, India, Brazil, etc. Now, second major problem with, I described the second one, now let me talk to the third one. Okay. Now, what they are doing is that capitalism is very undemocratic. In America, for example, whatever was democracy is hijacked by the capitalists and they impose oligarchy. America is no more a democracy, remember that. I have lived in America for 55 years, I have enjoyed life here, but I am telling you, America has become an oligarchy. In other words, the super rich, the billionaires rule the country. They control foreign policy, domestic policy, economic policy, everything. The news that Americans get. Oligarchs or 1% control everything in America. America is not a majority rule. You think democracy, there will be majority rule? Forget it. Basically, America has not one citizen, one vote. It has $1, one vote. That is what has happened here. No wonder Supreme Court Justice few decades ago named Louis Brandeis, he has said very rightly that you either have concentration of wealth in few hands or you have democracy. You can't have both. And he's so right. Oligarchs, what they do, they pay billions of dollars, they donate to political candidates starting from presidents, senators and congressmen for their elections and re-elections. And once they get elected, who they listen to? They listen to their paymasters, the oligarchs. They legislate laws which are beneficial to the oligarchs, not to the average American. And that has been going on for many, many years in this country. Now media, American media is, in 1980, American media was controlled by 50 big corporations, media giant corporations. But then they bought each other out. So finally today, 6 mega corporations, giant corporations, they control everything that average American sees on TV, listens on radio, or reads in newspaper. So they are brainwashed. They are only told what these giant 6 corporations controlled by billionaires, what the American people, they want them to listen, that is, or see, that is what they give them. They omit everything that is harmful to their status quo. They will never discuss socialism or benefits of socialism because they have made it as a bad word in America, because then that threatens their power. They will never discuss real issues affecting people. They just let people know a lot of weather news and trivial news they give them, silly news, and they keep them busy and deflected from the real issues. That is what they do, and this because they are only interested in status quo. They do not want any change or any revolution at all, period. Another major problem because of capitalism, that capitalists have steered the legislation through their politicians, that they have kept loopholes. So they pay zero taxes. As of 2020, last year, 50 major mega corporations paid zero taxes. Zero. 90 other major corporations paid zero taxes. If they would have paid a fair share of taxes, even 21%, they would have paid $8.5 billion last year. Instead, they got rebate of $3.5 billion. They got money from the taxpayers, money from the government. An average worker in General Electric or Amazon Corporation or Walmart pays more taxes than General Electric or Amazon Corporation or Walmart. Think about it. The poorest worker pays more taxes than these billions or trillions of dollars worth corporations. And they are getting away with it. You who is listening to this, you pay a lot more taxes than General Electric or Boeing or Walmart or Amazon corporations. How this happened? Because they have kept the loopholes. The billionaires spend millions of dollars to save billions of dollars. They hire the best lawyers, best accountants, and best lobbies. So all the politicians, they just keep these laws in place for the benefit of their paymasters, the super rich, the billionaires. Another thing they have done, the billionaires have stashed their money to tax havens like Switzerland or Caribbean countries. They have stashed away $2.1 trillion there. If they were to pay the fair share of taxes, at least 21% as of 2015, they would have paid $90 billion a year in taxes. That is what they are avoiding year after year, more so. by the tax havens. And the tax havens are kept in place by the compliant politicians of our country, in America. And this is the phenomenon in other countries of the world also. So there are all kind of flaws. By the way, the capitalism is also not sustainable. It is also unpredictable. Every 7 years or so, there is a major crisis in capitalism. And millions of people lose their job, their livelihood, and the super rich are absolutely not affected. So that is what is happening under capitalism. And I just want to tell you the final thing, that you cannot have, oh, by the way, capitalism depends on growth and continuous growth. It cannot survive without continuous growth. And you cannot have, how can you have continuous growth in a finite planet? Planetary resources are limited. Oil is running out, fossil fuel is running out, metals are running out, forests are being cut and running out. So how can capitalism continue with this growth? It is impossible, but it's a madness to keep manufacturing things that people don't want, but they are made to want. Their wants are created by capitalist companies. So it is on a path of destruction of the planetary Earth. It is against the people, and so that is the problem with capitalism. So you cannot have political democracy without democratic economy. Now let me tell you what should replace capitalism. It's a very interesting thing. I suggest that capitalism should be replaced with an economic system. I would call it enterprising social economy, enterprising people's economy, or enterprising eco-socialism, where it will be very democratic. There will be hundreds of thousands or millions of cooperatives, worker-owned businesses, where workers will be the owners of the business. They will be financed by the workers themselves or by the government to certain degrees. Big corporations can be financed by the government, but workers will be the owners. Government can be part owner. Workers will decide who their manager will be. The ratio between, by the way, ratio between in America, ratio between CEO and average worker is 1 to 340. I said that before. Here the ratio will be 1 to 6. So manager will make 6 times more money than average worker. He will be elected by the workers. Worker will decide what to produce, how to produce, where to sell, and what to do with the profits. Profits will be equally distributed amongst workers, and maybe 10% will be given to the society. So that should be the new economy. And by the way, it will be enterprising economy. In other words, there will be hundreds of thousands of small businesses, family-owned businesses. They will all flourish. There will be millionaires, several millionaires, and there will be no billionaires. But majority of the people will be doing well, will be having a decent life and decent amount of money, and they'll be making decent money. Average pay in America for federal workers is $7.25 an hour, while Scandinavian countries, which are very much, they have social economy. In Denmark, the minimum pay just 2 years ago was $22 an hour. That is the difference. Now, Scandinavian countries have excellent economy. They have social economy. There is some capitalism, but most of it is democratic socialism. From cradle to cemetery, the average Scandinavian is taken care of. Free healthcare, free education, free training, all these things. So there are very few rich people, no poor people. Everybody is doing well. They have shown an example to the world. The Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Nordic country, Iceland, etc., Finland, they all are they have devised a very social economic system. Now what I am suggesting is democratic economy, and I'll give you an example of cooperatives. Mondragon in Spain, that region, the Basque region in Spain, company called Mondragon. It is a huge cooperative started by a priest in 1956, and today the average pay ratio is 1:6 between the manager and the average worker. They employ more than 100,000 workers. They manufacture appliances. They are in several countries of the world. They are doing very well, much better than rest of the workers in Spain. Another major cooperative is in India called Lijat Papad. They employ more than 200,000 women. The women have come up from poverty. They manufacture this snack called papad, and they are all doing well. It's run, manager makes very little more money than the average worker. Most of the workers are women, and they make this snack and make a very good, decent living. Lijat Papad. Now, there is a shining example of cooperatives that I will tell you. In Italy, there is a region called Emilia-Romagna. It's one of the most prosperous regions in Italy today. They account for no less than 30% of the region's GDP. There are 40,000 cooperatives in that region. As of 2011, there may be some more now. Their turnover is $160 billion, 30% of the GDP of the region. 12.5 million members are the members of that cooperative. There are 1 million employees in this cooperative, and they are doing very well. They make 35% more money than rest of Europe. 35% more money than the rest of average European worker. They make as much as southern German workers, workers in southern Germany. By the way, there are 7,000 registered cooperatives in UK. They contribute 45 billion to the national economy, GDP. In America, there are 20,000 cooperatives, and they contribute $200 billion worth to GDP. So there are cooperatives in other countries of the world. There are cooperatives in Sweden and several other European countries. So cooperative is a very good way to go. It is not something that is very new, but it should be encouraged. In Italy, the cooperative help to the cooperative is in the constitution of Italian constitution. A very shining example of how economy should work in that particular region. Emilia-Romagna. So that is the way to go, friends. That there should be hundreds of thousands of cooperatives, and there should be many small businesses. There will be no billionaires. There will be several millionaires. Is fine, because today we have an ocean of poverty with few islands of extreme wealth, and that should be all eliminated. So capitalism is a unfriendly to people system, antiquated, unequal, and it's in conflict with the planetary Earth. And we need a system which is people-friendly, democratic, and in harmony with nature, with planet Earth. So friends, thank you very much. And if you like this video, then please share it with your friends to spread the word. Thank you very much.